So yeah, we're going to be reading this document on basically the ethnic conflict in the original UNIA. And I've known about this for a while, so this is basically an explanation on why we changed the format and based it in Africa, where the ethnic conflict can be avoided by making people report to a headquarters or a base in Africa. With the the Royal African Societies there, it makes more sense than trying to create Royal African Societies in basically in the Americas under U.S. government jurisdiction. At least it's too much fighting going on, disagreements, setups, people with different agendas. So it's too much risk. So we just changed the format. We've made progress in Uganda and Nigeria, and the whole Biafra movement, working with that. So let's see. We're going to start reading this. It's articles from the UCL Press. It's Radical Americas. The article is titled Lower Types of Cranks, Crooks, and Racial Bigots, the Universal Negro Improvement Association and Black Political Violence in the United States, 1918 to 1930. And when we talk about universal Negro, we're talking about back then there was basically like something called the universal thought or new Negro movement, where basically by universe they're talking about you're tapping into the energy of the universe, or just knowing about how the universe works, how people work, like social manipulation, nature manipulation. So universal Negro is basically a black person in control of their environments. They are not kind of like a think and you shall become type motivational thinking. That was a thing back then. Universal Negro, so universal thought or new thought movement. So I'm going to read the article, but I'm going to comment throughout it. Hopefully this goes by quickly. This article examines the involvement of the Black Nationalist Universal Negro Improvement Association, UNIA, in black political violence in the early interwar period in the United States. Evidence suggests that the UNIA was the organization most often involved in black political confrontations, and the article discusses how the state government, the black and white press, and other black activist organizations may have both benefited from and perpetuated the UNIA's reputation for political violence. So basically those sentences are saying that activists, infiltration, the media, and the U.S. government, or even other governments around the world, played into basically infighting and physical fighting. Just from what I can see, how it's structured, the way things are, it's very easy to infiltrate. The religion plays a part of it. People fighting over religious funds and religious gathering money. It's a lot of ways in hindsight that I see fighting could occur and that I try to avoid. But now the essay argues that the UNIA's involvement in violence against other black organizations and groups can be explained partly by the intensity of the war of words among prominent black leaders in the U.S., such as W.B. Du Bois and Marcus Garvey. Furthermore, the article suggests that ethnic and gender differences within the American UNIA itself could exacerbate pre-existing tensions between groups of Garveyites. We'll see. That might mean, I've heard in the American UNIA that women typically drove the movement. Other places, men may have been in charge. That might have been cause arguments. Just how women and men interact in different countries. That might have caused arguments. So different countries, different cultures might not been comfortable with women leadership or men speaking directly with women. In the NOI, they separate the genders. I know in Igbo traditional culture, they have men and women separate congresses. Guess that helps with infidelity and other things like that. But let me see. That's just pointing out that point. This might run a little long, or if I see it's going long, I'm going to try and cut it and just read a page or two at a time. But this is an important article. I'm going to do my best to try and break it down and get it out, get the information out there. Now, the last sentence, okay, we talked about ethnic differences could increase tensions between different Garveyites, the gender issues. And then it says contextualizing Black political violence in these ways allows us to move beyond a reductionist view of grassroots Garveyites as prone to violence. So that means basically giving details why people are fighting over politics, or fighting over politics is basically like policy, making rules. So people are fighting over what the rules and the laws should be and how to make changes in laws. The sentence basically talks about giving details, make people understand that it's just not that these guys were violent, that there was reasons why they were fighting or infighting. So this approach allows us to better understand the relationship between the famous war of words between Garvey and Du Bois, and the kind of tensions, confrontations, and violence that occurred at the grassroots level between supporters of different Black organizations and groups. I'd like to point out the UNIAACL, more like a government structure. Everything is potentially, but they're building a nation, a royal society. So it's a government more than an organization. Even though there's suggestions we can make to improve it, but I just want to point that out. It's more of a government organization, a self-government movement, and that's why it was so threatening to and sabotage so much. But the article contributes not only to the growing historiography about the UNIA at grassroots level, but also to discussions about militarization of Black protests during World War I in the 1920s, including the use of self-defense and paramilitary-style tactics by Afro-descendants in the U.S. So yeah, I guess it's going to explain why the paramilitary or the military aspect and self-defense, was promoted by Afro-descendants in the USA. So that's going to be interesting. All right. That was just page one, and it took 8 minutes. So I'm going to time this and see how long it goes. But let me see. Yeah, let me try and cut it off here and see. Let me just try.